live on Facebook. And we are recording, so usual disclaimer, if you're wanted by the FBI or other entities, which shall remain nameless or have always been unknown, hide your profile pic, disguise your voice, listen up. Hello, friends, family, people we don't know yet. Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide, Business of Being Human, with tonight's wellness workshop titled Narcissism EDU, Scarcity Mindset. If I was going to give it a beginning title, I would have said The Beginning of Narcissism, but only so much will fit into the advertisement, so scarcity mindset. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for showing up and understanding a little bit about human behavior, right? There's lots of conversation about, what do we call them? Potential human, I don't even know what to call them. Government. I'll try not to be pretty about it, but yeah, lots of stuff about government and governments and cultures and societies and that sort of thing, but all those things don't really matter if we don't know the human behavior behind them, right? So everything is all about human behavior. So understanding human behavior is everything. Understanding human behavior in the individual is understanding human behavior on the societal level, right? So groups of individuals that have similar behaviors create societies and cultures that reflect those behaviors, and that, generally speaking, encourage or discourage certain behaviors. So if you understand the individual, you can start to understand where all these things come from. And so people looking at, oh, well, the law says this and the Constitution says this, and this is America and this is Russia and this is socialism and this is communism and this is democracy and this is republic, and all that kind of stuff really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You need to understand the individual, because as we grow the individual, that's the way to create change. Looking at the things that the individuals constructed, that's a construct, that's done. And whatever the Bible said a gazillion years ago, or the Constitution said half a gazillion years ago, or what I wrote 5 minutes ago, is all in the past, and it's not in the moment. And so writing something down is great. I'm a writer. I'm writing a book. Writing's great, but to understand the dynamics of what's going on, you have to take those writings in context in the moment with what's going on in the moment. And the things that have been written in the past may or may not, things that have been written in the past are in the past, and they can help us into a trajectory in the future, but they can't be the definitive objective for the future, right? Scarcity mindset. Bear with me, because things are written down. When do we write down things? When we're afraid we're not going to remember them, mostly, right? That's when we write down things. So that's a scarcity mindset, or at least a part of scarcity mindset, or a characteristic of scarcity mindset, because we're afraid we're going to forget. If we really know it, we don't need to write it down. So just a thing here, because there's lots of politicalness going on, and we want to talk about how these systems came into place and how they came into place with scarcity mindset. How to get people together. How do we get people together? How do we get people to be on the same page? Well, we don't get other people to be on the same page. That's a misnomer on itself. We can't force people to do anything. That just plain doesn't work. The only thing we can do, and what I'm trying to do, is encourage conversation and encourage understanding that through people's own understanding and our own volition that we naturally align. And that's how a culture is in line with itself. That's how a cohesive culture is grown and is made. And having a culture that understands these things, having a culture that recognizes own volition versus mandated behavior, and understanding that our wants, and we have wants. We're people, we have wants. To understand those in context with everything else is critical. So, speaking of wants, no one wants to be afraid, but fear is a naturally occurring thing in the human emotional ecosystem, as are many other challenges, right? Challenges in the physical environment, challenges in the mental, emotional, spiritual environment. Life's made out of challenges. Remember the Embracing Challenges workshop? There are naturally occurring challenges. That's how life works. So scarcity mindset or fear-based mindset, well, it's easy to see where these things come from, because we all have challenges. We all have naturally occurring challenges, and to say frailties. Excuse me, I'm adjusting my heater here. It's a little chilly. I'm outside. There's naturally occurring human frailties, to put it that way. And so insecurity, natural insecurities, of course, because how are we going to have security if we don't have insecurity first? Like, how are we going to have knowledge if we don't have lack of knowledge first? How do we have understanding if we don't have misunderstanding first, or avoid, not a misunderstanding, but actually a void of understanding? So there has to be a void first. So if there's a void of our inner facets, of our abilities, of our aptitudes, then that's something that we need to understand. And on a core level, on a life and death level, we have to understand, hey, do I have the ability to swim across this river? Do I have the ability to do this sort of thing, to, outdistance this buffalo that Tom's chasing, or or swim along this salmon out here? There's things that challenge us on a life and death basis through the history, through the evolution of the human species. So understanding, can I do this, or will I die trying? That's a really super critical thing to understand our limits, to understand the capacity that we have. A young, strong person might be able to endure more than an elderly person or a young person. Those are important things for everybody to know, because the young, strong person can't bring the elderly person that might be weaker or more frail, or the younger person that's not experienced, along in this. And as people, traditionally, that's something that we need to know. And as leaders in leadership positions, we need to know what our aptitudes are versus what someone else's aptitudes in the group might be. Huge. This understanding each other on this core level has been critical to our survival since people have been people. And understanding our own limits is important. So, to show some context that we've got these naturally occurring frailties are critical to understand for our survival. So to see if, oh, you know what, I'm not really super adept at this kind of thing, or I'm not really super adept at this kind of thing. Sure, everyone's got those. Everyone, not everybody is perfectly suited to everything in life. That's what makes us unique. That's where we mesh, where everyone has their specific attributes and aptitudes. That's our strengths. And that's what we bring to the table. That's what we trade as individuals in a cohesive society. So that uniqueness is super critical to understand. And within that lesson alone is super, super important to not get caught up in the things that we're not good at. So to understand that whole concept, that's the lens that we need to view ourselves through and be comfortable with that. There's a whole teaching there. There's a whole understanding there, not just that the words make sense, but to actually understand it at a core level, that everyone's got frailty. Everybody's got aptitudes, and everybody's got places that they're just not, super efficient at. And that's okay. That's how we all mesh together. That's how we have this place. And in a cohesive society, that those things are and should be understood. However, if an individual sees they're something that they're not super adept at, if they have apprehension or trepidation around their own skills, and specifically in this case, this points to our emotional wellness or our emotional intelligence. If someone feels that they're not up to par in that conversation or any conversation, really, we can point to the scarcity mindset mentality in any kind of conversation, and you see a lot where people, if they're not comfortable with their knowledge about the information, they start basically making shit up just to seem like they are, right? The classic bravado, the classic, when we talk about the classic narcissist stereotype, is it is lots of bravado and no substance, like literally no substance. And oh, well, I'm just great at this, and I'm great at this, and I'm great at this. So typically all the people that brag about how great they are typically the ones that really don't know what they're talking about. But with that, that's kind of a vicious circle for the individual that's creating this facade, because once you create that facade, it's really hard to back out of. That facade itself, that's scarcity mindset, because the individual didn't take the time to go through and process whatever they were creating the facade around, whether it's that they're a great fisherman or a great lover or a great worm gatherer or whatever. They didn't take the time to really process that, oh, if I'm really not adept at these things, maybe I should go through the process of becoming adept at these things, or just realize I'm not adept at these things and find someone else that is adept at these things to help us, right? I am not a mechanic. I am not adept at my mechanics at all. I know that. I know that about myself. Hence, I don't do it. And I don't try to brag about how great of a mechanic I am either. That's for sure. I admit, hey, I'm just not a great mechanic. You need tree work done? Great. You need to catch some fish? I can help. Mechanics? No. But when someone engages in these facades, that is really the first point is they're disregarding that natural process of self-identity in that relationship with themselves, right? So the first cognitive dissonance in narcissism is the cognitive dissonance with themselves, right? Narcissism EDU. The reason you can't talk to a narcissist is because they don't talk to themselves. That's important. That's an important thing to understand, right? And understanding pattern recognition. This is a good thing. Right? Optimist. You got to be optimistic because this narcissist thing is a super hot topic, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, here's a narcissist, there's a narcissist, everyone's a narcissist," so on and so forth. But to really think about what that is gives us clues into the individual that we can see reflected in the societal. That's the big picture. That's the context. See, now, narcissist has this challenge within that they're not engaging in. Bear with me. The narcissist is engaging in their own cognitive dissonance. The narcissist is not talking with themselves. The narcissist is not being honest with themselves and going through the process that it takes to grow that inner security. Right? Because when we talk to other people, especially about personal development, emotional things, well, here's the catch point for the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't want to talk about these things because they don't have the background, because they don't have the experience, because they haven't experienced that. Easy for me to say. They haven't had that experience for themselves. They haven't engaged themselves for fear. So it's kind of like, and I don't even know if ostriches do this for real or not, but the ostrich putting their head in the sand, except for they're ignoring themselves. They're ignoring their own inner challenge. And so the scarcity mindset that the first thing is that we have these natural challenges, but to ignore those challenges within ourselves, that's the first cognitive dissonance, right? So if we ignore ourselves, who's the next person we ignore, right? Everybody else. See the pattern recognition? Person that doesn't have a good connection with themselves and isn't nurturing themselves and doesn't understand what it takes to make themselves secure. See where it's going? Narcissism EDU. Super, super important things to understand. Person that doesn't know how to make themselves secure by going through the process is not going to facilitate the person next to them in their personal development process. Hallmarks of narcissism. Being close to a narcissist, you just don't get that feeling of personal development. You can do anything else. You can do anything physically. You can say anything, but the feeling, your emotional ecosystem is disrupted because the first thing that I just talked about, because the narcissist doesn't know how to do that. And then next comes the wag the dog part. We know what that is, right? It's instead of doing our own process and adapting to our natural environment and our natural environment, our natural humanity, the narcissist with a scarcity mindset I hate that term, and I'll tell you why. The narcissist construct, let's say construct instead, because want implies intention, and it's not intention, it's fear-based, it's scarcity mindset. This is actually a really important factor to understand. When people say want, it's not want, because want is intentional. Want is intentional. Want is conscious. Want is connective. Scarcity mindset is a construct or a byproduct of actions that are just deflecting. It's actually a construct of what people don't want. People don't want personal development around them because that's a direct mirror saying, oh, you need to do your own personal development. Narcissism EDU. The narcissist, the hallmarks of the narcissist, one of the key things is how you feel emotionally in a relationship with a narcissist. Because the emotional development, the emotional support is not there because they're not doing it. And if you do it, that is the trigger. And that is when we are dealing with scared people, right? So scarcity mindset, fear, scared people, just like a animal in a trap. If you're trying to free an animal in a trap, they don't know you're trying to free them. They're hurt, they're injured, they're feeling vulnerable, and you're there trying to do something. They're not in a conscious state. They're in a reactive state. They're a fear-based state. If you're trying to free a coyote from a trap, they're going to want to bite you. And it's the same thing with people. It's the same thing when the classic empath narcissist, which I don't actually like any of those terms, but we're using them because that's what we got. The person that would call themselves the empath is trying to free the narcissist, trying to help the narcissist. With narcissist, you got to understand what you're working with. The narcissist is not conscious. It's not conscious. Just because someone can talk and speak English does not equate to consciousness. Those are different things. So this is the scarcity mindset. Is these natural occurring challenges, these natural occurring scarcities that aren't addressed in the cognitive dissonance. The individual is literally ignoring themselves, is ignoring their own challenges. And the translation, you could say challenges, but in contemporary society, you could say weakness or frailties, and those have a negative connotation. And the mistranslation in the mind of the narcissist to do the psychological profile is that, oh, I'm just going to ignore it, right? I'm just going to ignore these components of myself that I'm afraid of, these components of myself that are mistranslated as weak. Whoops, hallmarks of narcissism again. If you've been in a relationship with narcissists, that's why you get ignored, because they're ignoring themselves, because they're ignoring these critical components of themselves. Of course, your critical components are going to be ignored. Pattern recognition. Everybody on the same page here, right? Pattern recognition. Don't wait for science to prove this shit. It's just pattern recognition. From experience, this is hallmarks of narcissism. What we're talking about. Exactly. So that's why the narcissist person we label a narcissist, the person displaying these characteristics that we call narcissism, narcissist. One reason I don't like the terms is because narcissist is a lot of times attributed to the Greek god Narcissus. I'm guessing. I don't even know that stuff. I just know enough that it's because they were looking in the mirror and it was like beyond self adoration. But that's actually not what's going on. And there's a lot going on there. Of course, there's a lot going on with all this. It's a deep subject. Humans are complex, if nothing else. But it's because the person's not paying attention to themselves. And here's the facade part again, and here's the false bravado. If someone's actually not paying attention to themselves, they want to make it and if someone's not paying attention to themselves, if someone doesn't have a good, healthy, confident feeling about themselves, what do they do to deflect that scarcity mindset because they're afraid. They don't want to feel weak. The whole weakness thing, the whole weakness thing is mistranslated. So they make up the bravado that they're extra strong and they're extra brave and they're all this and all that. But then you go to talk to them, it's like, but you don't like know people at all. Oh yeah, all this, all the bravado. So there's the bravado part of it and that deflection. And and so the scarcity mindset, we still want community. There's still the deep needs for community, but how do you engage with the individual, with another individual, if you don't engage with yourself? Well, if you have a group of individuals that aren't engaging with themselves, then there's a connection. They have this thing in common, right? Welcome to America. It's coming. You knew it was coming. So it goes narcissism, colonialism, capitalism, scarcity mindset into narcissism, into colonialism, into capitalism. So now you have groups of people that don't want the whole personal development thing in their area, right? Just like the narcissist, individual narcissist, groups of individual narcissists makes up a what? Society of narcissists, right? Because the society is an individual reflection, is a society, the societal society is a reflection of the individual. So we have, look around us, everyone's like, yeah, oh, this person's narcissistic, here's narcissistic, this is narcissistic, this is narcissistic, this is narcissistic. Everybody's talking about all these narcissistic tendencies around everyone around them. Well, all those people, it's not just one person saying that, oh, I had this relationship, but I can speak about it and draw the parallels, and everyone in the room knows exactly what I'm talking about. What does that mean? Oh, it's not just one person, it's the collective. It's a collective that is narcissistic. It's the collective that exactly mirrors those narcissistic characteristics, the main ones being lack of personal development. Lack of personal development, and then, oh, look, lack of connection with the inner ecosystem, lack of connection with the outer ecosystem, right? How is the contemporary human disconnected from the planet that we walk in? Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. If the person is ignoring themselves, of course, they're going to be ignoring the person next to them. If they're not engaging in understanding their own mental habitat, they're not going to be engaging and understanding the external mental habitat, the physical habitat. Why else are humans trespassing on our environment, on the things that we need for life itself? That's a huge, huge disconnect. Hugely dysfunctional, huge disconnect. Where did that come from? It's not greed. It's not that people are just want more money and will do anything to get it. It's not the love of money. It's not. There's nuances here. It's addiction. It's that people are trying to fill their personal development with materialism. And Addiction 101, lessons from addiction, because narcissism is addiction. And it's finding everything except for what needs to be, filling those voids. Classic examples of addiction is filling the voids with drugs. Alcohol is a classic. But of course, people looking for that quick fix as opposed to the personal development process, filling that void with materialism. classic materialism, anything, ideologies, instead of real understanding spirituality. Where's a quick fix? Law, colonial cultures, instead of understanding real behavior, where's a quick fix? Let's just say this is how it is and try and force it into existence. But that's not reality. There's a big difference between saying something and saying something to ourselves and repeating it and engaging it to where our thoughts become words, our words become and our words become actions, right? But we can't just speak anything into existence that doesn't align with reality. And our positive self-talk is aligned with growth and healing. But artificial spirituality, mandated behavior, instead of cohesive cultures and communities, those are not real things. So the narcissist I'm using the term the narcissist construct is to create delusion. And there's another one, right? All the facades, all the twisted narratives, the delusion. So as long as the narcissist has the delusion, well, they need that for themselves because they need to have some place. If they're not engaging in their own reality, there has to be a delusion. And then if you'll buy into that delusion, then they've got community. And that's all they really want. And that's the construct. That's understanding human behavior at its core, is that community. But it's a community, a healthy community is individuals engaging in their personal development and wellness. An unhealthy community is the opposite of that, not understanding human behavior, not understanding our mental ecosystem, not understanding the natural ecosystem and the natural world that we come to. So the scarcity mindset still needs that community. And now it really needs community because it's already passed up the point for a real healthy connection. So now it needs to force people into being part of its community. Pattern recognition, narcissism. Everybody still here? Yep, I know you are. So there's that, right? Stuck in the relationship with the narcissist. We feel that. We feel that being forced to stay there. Captive. Classic narcissism, hallmarks of narcissism, to get stuck there and feel like that captive and feel like we're cogs in the wheel or the milk cow or the cash crop. All those things are that same narcissistic tendency. And isn't that what the contemporary governments are built on? Humans as a cash crop, humans as slaves. Isn't that basically the narcissist 101? Is that it's okay as long as you do what the narcissist does. Narcissist makes the rules arbitrarily, doesn't follow their own rules. Narcissist narcissism, colonialism. Welcome to America. Same thing. I know y'all know, and I know one person here knows, and everybody native knows. Same thing. Don't follow their own rules. America's never followed its own rules. America says freedom, killed the freed people and made slaves. So it's not super into freedom, right? I mean, let's just be honest. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking personal development. I'm talking understanding. I'm talking understanding human behavior, because nothing's going to go away looking at the system. And, it breaks my heart to see people spinning their wheels on the system and vote and vote and vote and vote and vote. And yeah, okay, vote. But do you understand human behavior? That's not going to make a fuck worth of difference. You got to understand human behavior. There's no shortcut, right? Socrates said it, however long ago that was. The democratic system, the vote gives the same voice to the sage that it does the fool. It's amazing we get so close to being like 50%. But that's within the system that was created by the narcissistic mentality. So, narcissism 101, you get the glimmer of hope. You get a little bit of Bernie thrown in every once in a while, and everyone, they'll change. Oh, it's all good. Oh, America, this is what America's about. No, it ain't. America's never been about that. Narcissism, narcissism, narcissism. I hate to see people, good people, chasing their tails around the same thing. Every 4 years, they'll get that hope for the last, since its inception. But don't look at, I mean, was there not slavery? Was there not genocide? Is there not like the poster child for narcissism in office right now? But it ain't him. It's all the people that elected him. It's the people that elected him and the people that don't know. How long does the victim stay in a narcissistic relationship? They stay in it until the only way they get out of it, if they get out of it, is when finally they face the facts. They say, this is a losing situation. This whole situation is sucking my emotion. Oh, wait, isn't that what just happened in every election? Hallmarks of narcissism, pattern recognition, same exact feeling. You're in a narcissistic relationship with the government. It's always been like that. Don't expect it to change. NARCISSISM EDU, right? I know no one wants to hear it, but you got to hear it. You got to understand this shit, or you keep recycling it. You keep getting caught in it until you understand it clear enough. Once you understand it clear enough, then you can say, yeah, no, I ain't letting my head get in that. But the second you personal relationship, think back to your personal relationships with a narcissist, and all the times you had that glimmer of hope. Oh, they were nice to me, and totally forgot about all the other bullshit. Tell me that that's not exactly the same feeling you get when you deal with colonial politics. We'll say America because we're in America, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing everywhere, just a different package. You got to know until you understand, and see, there's no need to make a decision now because understanding doesn't do that. There's information and there's shared views, there's shared observations, and you come to your own conclusion. But if you don't feel like you're able to process the information, that's a hallmark of being in a narcissistic relationship. And addiction and ideologies and all the prefab religions. You're not supposed to question, right? Don't question America. But we can take up guns against the government, but don't question it. Yeah, there's the narcissistic's replacement for logic there. So if we want things to change, you have to understand human behavior. Yes, Zelda, you have a question. Go ahead.
Didn't they build it for us to? Doesn't it say in their thing that we're supposed to be able to lift arms against them?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Didn't they build it that way?
Yeah, but it's just but here's the thing though, is that nothing's ever going to make sense.
Right.
So don't think you're going to see, but okay, great. That's a great example. Thank you for letting me use this as an example, because this is a common thing, right? Okay, Thank you for that question. Because don't think you're going to trick the narcissist into making sense. The narcissist isn't going to be like, oh yeah, we did say that. It doesn't work like that. The narcissist will not make sense under any condition. It will not make real sense. It won't be aligned fully with everything. It won't. The narcissist said freedom. Oh yeah, freedom, 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 freedom. They'll say freedom, 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 freedom. Oh yeah, do what you want, do what you want, do what you want. But that's not really what's going on. So, but that scarcity mindset that's the beginning. Scarcity mindset and the unaddressed internal development process. The unaddressed personal development, the cognitive dissonance with self is where it starts. And the scarcity mindset and fear-based and wants consistency, and I say want, and I hate using that term, but that's just there's a natural occurring factor in the human. We want security, but there's certain forms of security that only come from our own inner confidence and in our confidence in ourselves to grow and adapt. And as I don't want to speak too highly of our species, but as beings that have the potential for thought process, as humans, technically, the only reason people have got this far in our evolution is through our thought process, and to actually have understanding about things, first of all, and our understanding of our external environment. So that's a key right there: understanding external environment, understanding internal environment. That classic theory from wildlife biology is you don't understand an organism unless you understand the habitat that it evolved in. So understanding the habitat it evolved in, well, what's the mental habitat though? Physical external habitat, physical internal habitat, that's science, right? How do white blood cells react when there's an infection? How much oxygen do red blood cells carry? All the internal biology, that's habitat. And so mental habitat, inner, our own personal mental habitat, and then what's our collective consciousness? What's that part of it? And then our emotional, how we feel, and then our external, what's our emotional intelligence? And then the spiritual, which just transcends a whole bunch of everything. I won't go into that right now because we're just trying to keep on top of the logic and making sense and understanding part of it. But through the understanding human behavior, understanding these things, pattern recognition is the most important part of our intelligence. And we understand these things, and that pattern recognition is super critical to understand it on an energetic level. How does it feel? How did it feel when this happened? How did we feel when this happened? How did we feel when this happened? How did we feel when this happened? That's the first part of emotional intelligence. So we have to understand that. Scarcity mindset feels scared when they start to look in the mirror. Well, you just can't. You got to go through it. I mean, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be afraid, but you still have to go through it. You still have to do it, right? That's one of these lessons. That's the thing. If it's afraid about a physical challenge that, wow, I don't know if I can swim across that river, maybe do it, maybe not do it. But the river in our inner mental ecosystem, we have to swim across those. We have to swim upstream those. And so understanding where that scarcity mindset leads into full-blown narcissism, which is the projecting, which is the wag the dog part, which is, now I'm not doing my personal development, so anything around me that has to do with personal development is going to be a threat to my facade, to my delusion, right? And that's the narcissist part, because they want everything for themselves, even if it's actually not helping themselves and it's destroying everything around them. Oh, by the way, parallels to addiction, right? Hurting yourself and hurting everything around you. That's addiction. So narcissism, addiction, synonymous. We can see the same patterns in the narcissist that we see from the addict, doing everything except for what needs to be done and all the excuses except for them, right? Oh, pattern recognition. Everybody that's been in a relationship with a narcissist, it's everything except for them. Everything else is to blame. Oh, and if I just change this, and if you do this, and if you do this, and if you do this, without doing their own full holistic understanding of the situation, of another person, of the natural habitat. Um, any more comments, questions? If I have anything to say, I think there's only just a few of us on the Zoom now. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. So that understanding the scarcity mindset as a foundation of narcissism, colonialism, capitalism, all those things, super critical. Super critical. We have to understand each other. We have to understand these human behavior aspects. We have to understand that. And again, that all this pattern recognition, all these things like addiction, narcissism, addiction, super important to see all those parallels, to see those behavioral factors, whether the person's, you know, hyper fixated on a substance or an ideology, hyper fixated on America, whatever religion, whatever ideology that someone has. It hasn't been, the bottom line is someone hasn't put these things through an objective thought process, right? This is the cognitive growth and healing channel where we do the objective thought process. Does the narcissist really stand up to what they say they're doing? No. Does America really stand up to what it says it is? No. Oh, narcissism, colonialism. All right. Do these prefab book written religions really stand up to what they are, to the people that engage them? Are they reflecting what they say they are? These kind of things. We can't just leave our objective thought process behind for wants. We can't want something to be true without actually going through our objective thought process and verifying. And when I say our objective thought process, that takes into account all reality. That takes into account our emotion and our spirituality, because logic doesn't dismiss things that are. Logic takes into account all those things. Logic takes into account our physical wellness, our mental wellness, our emotional wellness, our spiritual wellness. It's scarcity mindset that would say that our objective thought process is void of emotion. That's a colonial misnomer. That's a linear mindset. That's a contemporary society thing that says, oh, science, and science doesn't recognize emotion or spirituality, and prove emotion and prove spirituality and all these kind of things. But that's the limits of science, and we did that workshop already, so we won't go back there. Scarcity mindset. More about scarcity mindset. Confusion, I think, confusion is the biggest source of mental unrest and emotional trauma. Confusion. But if we don't try to understand something with intention, then how do we alleviate confusion? So the understanding ourselves, we might find something in ourselves that is definitely less than what we'd like to be, and less than what is considered to be par or average or acceptable in the eyes of society. But to know that, and to know that to the best of our ability, is better than to not know it and just avoid it. So confusion is another hallmark of narcissism. Griselda, what are you laughing at?
How do you know
Anyways,
that I'm laughing?
anyways, just thought I'd.
I was laughing that I was saying
That,
that I'm
never
the
mind.
one that's in
I
charge
didn't
of
really want to
people
know.
of
I just want
lighting
to talk shit. Okay.
and
Anyway,
bringing more
confusion,
people to the prairie.
and scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset that doesn't think about themselves, doesn't think about important things. Of course, there's going to be a naturally occurring confusion there, especially, we're all energetically connected. We're all the same thing. I say we're all intimately and infinitely connected, and connected with a capital C to everything, Mitakia say. We're all connected to everything that's going on this planet, and maybe even farther. For sure, we're all connected to each other. So the empath says that they're energetically sensitive. I don't think they're any more energetically sensitive than narcissists. The narcissist is strictly going by energy, but they're translating that energy in a certain way, in a negative way. The narcissist will translate, or a narcissistic characteristic, right, would translate our personal development as work, and avoid that work because it seems like a lot. Oh, plus, how are we going to do our personal development work if we already have this facade that we're perfect and that we don't need any personal development and that we're already smarter than everybody else? How do we hold up the facade if we're smarter than everybody else and still grow our own understanding at the same time? So that confusion that is within the narcissist, isn't that perpetuated to those around the narcissist? Hallmarks of narcissism, again, pattern recognition. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, which mostly everyone has, and especially when it's a colonial disease, when it's a contemporary disease. And I mean, I say how contemporary societies were built upon on the narcissistic mindset. As you'll see if you pay attention. So how, of course, that confusion is perpetuated and everyone recognizes it, because that's one of the hallmarks of narcissism. You're in a relationship with a narcissist. Yes, it's the confusion part, right? It's like, oh, because what? You don't understand how this person doesn't understand. You don't understand how this is happening. Well, hopefully now you do a little bit more, but I'm just pointing out these parallels, these huge glaring parallels to these common factors, to the individual and the societal. Oh, I don't understand how all society can be like this. Yeah, you do. You're in a relationship with a narcissist. You understand exactly. And now we just went over it, and hopefully, we understand more. But to truly understand on a core level, right? We can say these things in pattern recognition. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Pattern recognition, because it felt like this here and it felt like this here. And they said this then, and then they said this then. It was bullshit then, and then it was bullshit then. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Right. Okay. But to understand it on a core level, on an energetic level, is the key. Because the narcissist, at their core, we're all feeling, right? Our flesh and blood, our physical characteristics or features, whatever that may be. The first thing is that feeling. The first thing the narcissist is doing, the narcissist feels someone that is more that is further along in their personal development and is reacting to that. So reactive compulsive versus conscious responsive. Remember those terms. The scarcity mindset the narcissism and perpetuating narcissism, that's the compulsive reactive. When people aren't engaged, aren't conscious, aren't connected to the energy that's around them and wanting to bypass the energetic imprint, that's where it starts. People want to bypass that connection to process. And first of all, it's the internal process. People are wanting to bypass that little thing inside of us that says, oh, you need to pay attention to this. Here's fear. Fear, all fear is doing, all these natural inner challenges, they're just saying, pay attention. Pay attention to me. That's all fear is doing. It's not trying to be mean. It's not trying to be scary or interfere. They're just saying, pay attention to me. Figure out what's going on. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's a real physical threat. Maybe it's something that you can work on within yourself. And maybe it was just a challenge that helped us grow. Because that's how challenge works. Remember that? Remember the whiteboard drawing where it's like, we're here with our understanding and the challenge looks like this big because we're right here and we can only see it. But then when we grow our understanding, we grow bigger than the challenge and then we can see, and then it's just part of our growth. So these naturally occurring challenges and to have natural fears within ourselves is just like any challenge is saying, hey, engage me, look at me. Oh, what's that doing? That's our relationship to self. That's all. So, oh, wait, that's the narcissist. What does the narcissist want? Attention. The narcissist wants attention, right? Well, they didn't give themselves attention. So, come on, everyone. So they want it from outside. They want it from others. Oh, yeah, it's all making sense now, right? So, that those naturally occurring challenges are important to, critical to engage. Without engaging those, without engaging ourselves, there's confusion. There's lack of relationship with self. Understanding. See, understanding human behavior, all this fear, all our challenges are just saying, hey, pay attention to yourself. That's not so bad, right? Isn't that wellness? This is a wellness workshop, right? All our fears are just saying, pay attention to yourself. It's like the narcissist. The narcissist wants attention. Problem is that the narcissist will drown, is like the crabs in the bucket. The narcissist will drown someone trying to help them because they're in that compulsive reactive state, just like the coyote in a trap. They'll bite the hand that's trying to free them, literally. So you don't have to do that to yourself. This is our safe space. Make yourself your safe space. Engage your fears. Do your personal development. Go through your process. That way you won't have confusion. Get rid of the confusion. First thing, right? Wellness Workshop 101. Get rid of the confusion. Understanding is the key to getting rid of the confusion. Understanding requires intention and addressing the challenges, addressing the internal challenges. As you feel some kind of way within yourself, work on it. You're the only one that's got a say in it. No one from outside can say it. When you start bringing it outside, then you can get some critique. But until then, do your personal development. Yes, we're in a society built of narcissism that doesn't encourage personal development. Welcome to the workshop. Glad to have you. And see how that is. Where's all the conversation about personal development in society? Where is it at? Where is that front and center? You should be able to flip on 9 out of 10 channels and have personal development stuff. 7 out of 10, right? Got to have a fishing channel and a weather channel and whatever else. Anyways, The individual, societal, pattern recognition. You have to understand these things. If you have, if if there's a conversation so much about narcissists in contemporary society, well, then the society is made up of narcissists, is what's going on. Oh, well, how'd that happen? Well, think about it. Go through the process. Process is not a clock. Here's the clock part. If you heard me speak before, we can't solve our problems with government, money, or clocks. Our personal development is not a clock. Our personal timelines is not a clock. Our personal lifespans and lifespans of everything natural around us is not a clock. It's not a clock. There's a lot of really important lessons in life about being able to pick through something piece by piece as long as it takes, with patience and intention. Shout out, beadwork is the best example I can think of. Piece by piece for hours and hours and hours, however long it takes, and there's intention with every piece. That's the first thing I can think of. But natural life has those. Tracking, understanding the animals that we need to live, understanding weather patterns requires intention. All these external things require heightened intention that's very scarce. Speaking of scarcity mindset, very scarce in contemporary society. So we need to grow our attention. We need to grow our attention. We need to grow our intention. We need to grow our awareness to life and death level. This is all life and death level. Our personal development, 100% is challenge of life or death. Just staying alive for the sake of staying alive is not what our potential is. That's scarcity mindset. All the homosexuals and all the A2, is it A2? A2, whatever. 2A, 2A. All the 2A nuts. And yeah, I'm a gun owner too. That's great. I don't that's not that's not what I base my persona on, though. That's scarcity mindset. To go to the lowest common denominator right off the bat is scarcity mindset. That just defending your physical life as your go-to, that scarcity mindset. That comes from people that haven't developed their own persona to enjoy life and to grow. Period. The lowest common denominator won't get us there. You have to understand when someone's got that lowest common denominator. Understand what I said. You have to understand when someone has that lowest common denominator mentality, that scarcity mindset, lowest common denominator mentality. Ooh, right and wrong. Right and wrong is scarcity mindset. It's not holistic understanding. All this shit that I just said, you don't have to think about right and wrong. Just be. Real people we don't hold ourselves into making, hey, is this right or wrong? It's not right or wrong. It's accumulation of data. It's information. It's just gathering information. Everything will flow out from there. To be forced into making a decision, that's scarcity mindset. That whole looking at things from a black and white. Life's not like that. Life's infinite grayscale. Life's got diversity. Life's got infinite diversity. Life's got infinite possibilities. The lowest common denominator. Are we together or are we not together? Before that, there should be a real relationship. And then whatever happens with that relationships can have a tendency to change and morph. But first, have a real relationship. Scarcity mindset. People want to be with people. People want to have a significant other. People want to be married and capture someone that they don't have to, that they'll always have forever and ever. Scarcity mindset. What you really want is you want someone to be there on their own volition, through their own free will the whole time. That's what you really want. But scarcity mindset and that want without context, speaking about want without context, egocentric pursuits, want without context. Well, I just want, make it easy. I want someone to be here all the time. I want someone in my life. Yeah, without context. You want someone in your life, whether they want to be there or not. That's fucked up. That's narcissism. That's narcissism, involuntary servitude. To have people around doing what you want, regardless of how they feel. Narcissism 101. And again, welcome to America. That's the contemporary government way, because the people just do, the people do. You know, it's all, oh, well, this is an elective, and people are free, but yeah, you're free to be everything. You're free to do whatever you want, except for really be your true self. There's narcissism again.
One of the things I heard was fair and square. I'm like, what did they just say? Something about winning fair and square. I thought that was awesome.
There's a good faux pas, because real life is a circle.
Right? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. And okay, excellent point. It is fair and square. It is fair in the square. It's 100% fair in the system that was created by squares. Ooh, we got a rap song going. Because that's not cyclical. It's not a circle. Changleshka Shneo. The circle, fair and square. Yeah. So working within a narcissistic system, working with a narcissist, you're not okay till you're out of it. And you're not okay till your head's out of it. You got to get your head out of it first. Same thing with the government. As long as you follow the endless tail chase that is all the laws and all the political narratives, narcissist. You're in a relationship with a narcissist. It's, it's super simple to say, super simple to see. The next part is doing it. You know what it's like to be in a relationship with the individual. Get your head out of it. You know what it's like to be in the relationship with the political. Get your head out of it. You have to understand first we're organisms on this planet. There's all kinds of things to align ourselves with other than political, and I'll say religious ideologies, contemporary ideologies. There's all kinds of things. Just be human. Just understand human behavior. Oh, let's see here. What do I have on my notes? Narcissism EDU, scarcity mindset. 65 mentions in my big notes. Yeah. Confusion is the biggest source of mental unrest and emotional discomfort. Lack of knowing is the narcissist playground. Kind of breezed over that a little bit, but right, as long as you don't know, you're stuck. Because you can say, and here's a good example. Here's a good example of data versus knowing. And I'm saying knowing in the traditional way, not the linear data way. Is that you can say, oh, they said this, but then they did this. And oh, it says this. The Constitution says this. We're guaranteed by the Constitution this. We're guaranteed by the Constitution this. but freedom, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And then you're just another what about. That ain't going on. You got to know that that's bullshit. Just you pointing out the narcissist isn't even there. The narcissist, for you to make sense, doesn't matter. The narcissist isn't into making sense. The system isn't into making sense. If they made, hate to break it to you, that's just not what's fucking happening. And it's strange. It's a strange reality to digest, but suck it up, buttercups, choke it down, whatever. But that's what's going on. And you see it and you know it. The people are not into making sense. The people are not into communicating and making a connection. And they're not into encouraging understanding, because if you start understanding, if any sense is made, the first thing is going to point back to the mirror. We're people. This is all, we're just talking about human shit, which is scarcity mindset in itself. Because we know problem's human, human. And I'm looking here at this human, and I'm looking at this human, I'm looking at this human. That doesn't absolve ourselves from being relatives of everything else on this planet. Before we're connected to the humans, we've got the trees because we're breathing the air. We've got the earth, like the earth, like the ground that we're standing on. We've got the sun because the sun has the trees grow. We've got the water because we need water. We've got all the plants that we eat and all the other animals that we eat and all the bugs that make all the plants and all the plants that make all the animals. So we've got relationships with it, with all kinds of other things on this planet before us. And that's scarcity mindset. And that's narcissist, because the people are only doing shit for the people and trying to quick fix and trying to diss the relationships with everything else. But before there's a relationship with another individual next to us, there's a relationship with all these other entities. That's real understanding. They'll all, guess what? Also, diversity, lessons of life. That's diversity. That gives us the diversity to look at life from a holistic lens, not just from a human lens, not just from the lens that says, well, you know, we can go into the future sustainably with solar, or that, you know, there needs to be some compromise so the people can just continue to grow in population exponentially. Those things don't need to happen. Those are not actual needs. Those are wants, and those are wants without context, and that's ego. So the human gets so stuck in the human, and it's easy to do because, yes, we know that the humans are the problem somewhere in here, somewhere in there. Oh, for sure over there is, is a problem. But that doesn't absolve ourselves from our other relationships, and with our other relationships, with our respect to things in the other relationship, gives us that alignment to look at our own self through the lens of being another organism on the planet. Look at everything, not just the human, because that's a narcissist, where the human's just so caught up in their own shit that they can't give any attention to anything else around them. That's narcissism. So take off your shoes, stand in the dirt for 5 minutes a day, barefoot, get that connection, grow those connections. That's a super important thing. Super, super important, critical. And I'm talking as a biological organism on this planet that has potential for objective thought process. We need to know this about ourselves. You know, that would be a good one to end on, but I still got some more stuff here. Oh yeah. Don't forget, trickster teacher, classic lessons from my people. Trickster teacher, all these things, that narcissist, if it wasn't for the narcissist, who would encourage us to do our introspect? Who would encourage us to understand our human behavior? The only reason I'm here because I went down the path of really what the fuck is going on with these people. No, really, what I want to know, we need to know what's going on. Why the disconnect? Why all this stuff? Why is a species killing its planet? Why? We need to know these things. So who's encouraging this? Things don't have, if everything's fine, there's no there's no encouragement. So we're on this planet, there's natural laws in place, things are still going on. It's up to us to find out what's going on, what's that place, you know. So that's a big one to understand that. See, if we were in traditional society, everyone would know that. That's like 101 traditional society, trickster teacher. Whoops, killed the traditional society people. Bad plan. Yep, shortcutting actual growth process is shortcutting ourselves. Scarcity mindset and addiction have that get mentality, and the materialistic accumulation. Yeah, you can take physical things from people, but when that mentality is stuck in that get and take, get, and Washichu 101, it's not a position to receive. So receiving and understanding, that's the reciprocal. That's the reciprocity. So the scarcity mindset is bypassing its own reciprocal relationship, and of course, bypassing the reciprocity needed to have healthy relationships with others and basically everything. So it all comes to an end really quick if we don't do our personal development. So wellness workshop. This is why it's important.
My food just went flying out my mouth when you just said the name of that 101.
Oh, dang, I missed it.
Wasichu 101. Come on now.
Oh, oh, that fat taker. Fat
I
take,
know my
take, take,
food
take,
mouth.
take, 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 get. But you can't trespass on yourself. The emotional intelligence parts, the naturally occurring emotional intelligent part of us knows when it's fair trade, knows when there is reciprocal energetic exchange. And real growth requires that receptiveness. And intellect is all about receptiveness because we're gathering information, right? All the technology, it doesn't dumb down its sensors. It makes all the pickups are more sensitive. All the radar technology, all the telescopes, all the microscopes, everything is more sensitive, meaning it picks up more information. So, that weakness, sensitivity, all those false narratives that are twisted around in narcissistic vocabulary, just more bullshit. Bear with me. I'm looking through my notes. I don't want to forget anything. See, I'm going through the process. I'm not trying to be all fancy and, wind it up all fancy and be all showy. I'm just going through the process. I'm just trying to get the information.
Mm-hmm. What can I see?
The abundant mentality must embrace growth and the challenge of life that is not letting the scarcity mindset chase the lowest possible defaults into nothingness. I'm going to read that again. The abundant mentality must embrace growth and the challenge of life that is not letting the scarcity mindset chase the lowest possible defaults into nothingness. Right? To understand these things about human behavior, to understand scarcity mindset, just pursuing the lowest common denominator, if you're not that, if you can grow out of that, if that's our goal, to not be that, to not be the them, and to truly understand what's going on, it's our duty to understand what's going on and to not let the spoiled 3-year-olds run the show. You know what's worse than scarcity mindset? Not understanding actual scarcity. That includes the time left to actually figure some shit out and not waste time and effort on shit that doesn't work. Right? When we're in a relationship with narcissists, when we're in a relationship with narcissistic contemporary governments, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? We didn't got time to just spin our wheels for everything. Oh, another hallmark of narcissism. You spin your wheels and nothing happens. You end up wasting your life. Scarcity mindset, narcissism EDU, narcissism EDU, scarcity mindset, finding optimism. Scarcity mindset is dysfunctional because life is limited. Yep. Finding optimism. Scarcity mindset is dysfunctional because life is limitless and doesn't actually get constricted just because a few humans fail to engage in their quest for understanding. So those last ones I think are important things to understand. It's all important things to understand. It's all important. So with that, I think I'll wind it up. I'm your host, Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide, Business of Being Human, with another Friday night wellness workshop, Narcissism EDU, Scarcity Mindset. Thanks for joining. And now we will go into the after party and we will log off of the Facebook. And thanks everybody for showing up. Pretty easy to get a hold of me if anyone has any questions or anything. Love to hear it. So good night. Thanks for hanging out on Friday. Appreciate it. Be well.